Bethesda lost everything, and it's a beautiful thing because they deserve nothing. They have been hot garbage for years at this point. Failure after failure, so excuse me when I say I'm happy that they lost Fallout. Hopefully they're gonna lose more if we're lucky. But some people are pretty hardcore coping about this situation.
Did Bethesda just lose control of the Fallout franchise? Are they now just relegated to making Elder Scrolls games into eternity? Over the last week, I've had a lot of conversations and have my own perspective on what is becoming a very hot topic among Bethesda fans. Because, yeah, Bethesda did just sort of lose Fallout, but not completely and definitely not to the degree many people are saying or even hoping for. The biggest question facing Xbox and really Bethesda right now is, where are the games? Xbox closed their $7.5 billion
Well, that has been a question for roughly a decade at this point, and Starfield ain't cutting it.
acquisition of ZeniMax, the parent company of Bethesda, back in 2021. So at that point, Xbox owned Fallout, as well as a lot of developers who could work on a Fallout game. And while we have heard how Xbox wanted Fallout games or even canceled a Fallout game, the reality was Phil Spencer was the head of Xbox and gave some studios, namely Bethesda Game Studios and Todd Howard, a ton of autonomy. They were just free to work on what they wanted to, which for Bethesda was Starfield and then the Elder Scrolls 6. And even further,
Oh my god, that sounds like extreme cope.
free to manage the Fallout and Elder Scrolls franchises, and this is really the important part here. Todd Howard has a certain perspective on video games. Years ago, before even Xbox owned things, Todd Howard talked in an interview about keeping development of their games internal. This was when literally being asked about Obsidian working on a Fallout game. But even back then in 2018, Todd Howard was talking about how, no, he didn't want other people touching their franchises. And
Yep, yep, this is the one I mean. This is one of those instances where Todd has said, he has said this multiple times. The fact that someone else is even touching the mainline Bethesda games, aka Fallout and Elder Scrolls, makes Todd probably have to drink a lot to go to sleep every night at this point.
even during his interview with Maddie, Todd Howard mentioned how he doesn't feel a need to rush Fallout content.
We don't feel like we need to rush any of that.
Got it.
Right now, the
Well, how things have changed, eh?
Fallout TV show fills a certain niche in terms of the franchise.
Oh, and by the way, the fact that they lost so much control and now are forced to make Elder Scrolls 6 and lost Fallout was kind of slightly to be expected, to be honest, because not only has Todd Howard said that he's not going to allow anyone else to make their big games, he also said that he does not want to ever make a TV show about any of their IPs. He had, over the years, been approached multiple times, as it turns out, by other companies like Netflix's and whatnot, while they were independent of Xbox, to make a Fallout TV show or an Elder Scrolls TV show multiple times. And he declined every single time. And what happened the same exact year as they got bought by Xbox? That's right, the TV show popped up out of nowhere. It's pretty crazy. So the fact that that already got stripped away from Todd is kind of a serious blow, I guess.
And storytelling, totally get the desire for a new kind of mainline single player game.
Mhm.
And look, those things take time. I don't think it's bad for people to miss things
Right.
as well. So we just want to get it right and make sure that everything we're doing in a franchise, whether it's Elder Scrolls or Fallout or now Starfield, that those become meaningful moments for everybody who love these franchises as much as we do.
This was said as fans were begging for more content. So for one reason or another, under Phil Spencer, all of that was allowed to be true. Phil and Todd were friends. I don't know how much of a role that played, but it does feel telling that we saw Arcane seemingly pushed onto a multiplayer game with Redfall, and then subsequently shut down when that didn't work out. We don't know the complete story.
I'm sorry, is that a midget? I think that's a midget.
We don't know the complete story of those dynamics, but it definitely feels like some studios got a lot more freedom than other studios under Phil Spencer, even within the ZeniMax umbrella. But eventually they had to pay the bills, and under Phil Spencer, Xbox was reportedly not performing well financially. It was revealed they had just a 3% profit margin as a company, and even more concerning, new investments were reportedly losing money to a fairly major degree. This is when Asha Sharma comes in as the new face meant to fix things, and after taking a look at things, the first major decision was a reset. And more so than ever before,
Yes, the first major decision a person who has never done absolutely anything in her life that does not specialize, in fact, in these types of decisions, just magically decided, hey, it's the big reset, everyone, hee hee ha ha. And now she's somehow also a consultant for the Federal Reserve of America, which is not owned by the people, mind you, which is hilarious.
this was a major change for Bethesda game studios. BGS was fairly immune to some of these past rounds of layoffs. Not completely, people were definitely let go, but largely immune. But as we've pretty much all heard now, this time around that wasn't the case. Bethesda Game Studios was majorly impacted by the most recent round of layoffs across all 4 of their locations. And this includes developers on Fallout 76, The Elder Scrolls 6, and even other things. Several veterans of Bethesda Game Studios were let go in this, but not all of them. There is a ton of misinformation out there, like some people saying Istvan
Emil did not get fired. That is such sad news for every Elder Scrolls fan.
Pelly was let go, but he wasn't. I confirmed this with somebody myself, so be careful what you're reading about these layoffs in the Xbox news and from who you're reading it. But either way, Asha Sharma stepped in and started massive cuts, which, well, yeah, these are brutal. At the same time, this feels like a major case of mismanagement getting called out on the side of Bethesda and maybe Todd Howard. We don't know all of the details, but ZeniMax gets bought and Bethesda Game Studios specifically seems to get a really awesome setup. They have more freedom to work on this super ambitious space game. Starfield reportedly had some development issues, so it did get some delays, as well as a few extra years of dev time, and it seems like that was thanks to the Xbox buyout. Starfield being something
He's Todd is standing on a box. I think Todd's standing on a box. Okay, you see? You see this woman's arm? By the way, it's kind of hot. Not gonna lie, pretty nice. You see this woman's arm? She's not stretching it out. She's not doing anything. You see Todd's arm stretched out to the maximum? That's because he's probably standing on a box.
that Todd Howard has reportedly been wanting to do for decades now. And while this is going on, Xbox is even like, hey, we'll give you complete control of your other franchises and won't start using them for games with other studios, which is something many people wanted to happen and many companies would have done. But all the while, other things are going on. The fall TV show was announced in 2020, and of course, this led to a massive boost for the franchise. But in all of those Fallout TV show interviews, it's Todd Howard positioned as the boss of the franchise and the one setting limits for the showrunners. This was all while Xbox technically owned things.
I'm gonna do a recreation that probably went out, which is probably pretty accurate. Went something like this. All right, we have this thing called New Vegas, and I want it gone. I want it destroyed. I want everything about it dead, forgotten. It has these things. For example, the NCR, kill it. It has this thing called the Brotherhood of Steel, abandon it. It has this thing called the Legion, make them into fucking clowns. And destroy their motivations. House? Oh man, just completely reverse his whole character. That's what Todd Howard probably did. I believe that's a faithful recreation of what he probably said.
And reportedly during this time, it's not just that Bethesda wasn't working on new Fallout games, but apparently they were also turning down outside studios from working on them, or at least Obsidian. Chris Avellone reported that Obsidian pitched several Elder Scrolls spin-offs in the past, but none of these were accepted. And even more recently, a Fallout game was pitched and reportedly shut down, but reportedly in a crazy twist.
Yeah, this is a crazy one, because we have contradictory statements at this point. We previously had the fact that Obsidian is trying to make a Fallout game, pretty much begging to do that, and we had, I mean, it's not even rumor or anything. We know the CEO of Obsidian has literally gone on camera and said, "Oh yeah, we want a Fallout game," and that was not too long ago. And now the current word on the block is Obsidian didn't even want to make a Fallout game. Bruv.
Twist of fate, that turned into Josh Sawyer's game, which is now turning back into a Fallout game. So basically, Josh Sawyer pitches a Fallout game, this gets shut down by Bethesda, so he goes on to work on something similar to Fallout, but not quite the same thing. But then Asha Sharma steps up, and now that other game is cancelled, then he's back working on Fallout, finally. And this is where things definitely get a bit tricky. Jason Schreier does confirm the Fallout thematically. Previously, Sawyer had been directing a role-playing game that was similar structurally and thematically to Fallout, but was not part of the franchise. Chris Avallone isn't a perfect source, but he is our only source saying that Bethesda is shutting down these games. So it sort of just comes down to his word. Although, even Todd Howard has mentioned,
Oh, look at that! It's the morally impossible 10-penny tover. Wow! Guys, please, leave in the comments if you just reverse pickpocket Roy a grenade and call it a day. That's what I did on my first playthrough. I swear, by the way, there was some kind of thing where I also gave a grenade to Mr. whatever it's called, the guy who wants you to blow up Megaton. I also did that. It's kind of funny that other people die because of the grenade explosion, but you're not blamed for it. I swear there was a tutorial or something in Fallout 3 where it actually tells you to do this.
the desire to keep things internal, and of course, we have no other Fallout games right now, so it does seem pretty plausible that Bethesda wasn't letting anyone else work on it. Or I guess really,
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Even Juicehead understands that Roy needs to go.
Xbox was letting Bethesda tell other people they couldn't work on it. And to me, this is really the part of the criticism I agree with the most. From the outside looking in, and we do really have to appreciate, we have very limited knowledge here, especially with—
Oh, that's a Cazador. You do not want that heat, okay? Cazadors have hands.
Bethesda. They're a very secretive company, but it seems like Xbox left Bethesda Game Studios to do their own thing, and they just—
Dude, being very secretive and not doing anything for years and just sitting on your ass are two separate things. I firmly believe Bethesda just have not done anything.
didn't do anything with Fallout, and potentially made sure nobody else was doing anything with Fallout.
Oh wait, this is not a reskin of a Cazador, it's called the Red Wasp. Lamau.
Either, except Virtuous with a remaster.
A Cazador would never run just from 2 shots of a revolver. Its HP would maybe go down this much from this much. Even a young one.
During the time this was all going on, the Fallout franchise only became more popular and more valuable. So now as a new CEO steps up and looks around and sees no Fallout games in major development outside of a remaster, yeah, it's not exactly shocking that things are changing in big ways now. Bethesda sold to one of the biggest companies in the entire world, and thought that they would just be fine not even trying to fully utilize one of their most valuable assets for the better part of a decade. I don't really know what I'm talking about here, but it seems like, yeah, that's a luxury you can have when you're very profitable
What?
and private, but when you're losing money and owned by one of the biggest companies in the world that is publicly traded, eventually people are going to want to make their money. And I could almost give them a pass for it up until 2024, but after the Fallout TV show comes out and you have on full display how much of a boost this is creating for the Fallout franchise, and then even still, nothing was immediately
Show season 2. The reason why no one expected this to happen is because no one did expect this to happen. Even Bethesda, even Xbox expected the TV show to be like just a meh thing.
greenlit game-wise, because otherwise we should have some Fallout games several years in development right now, outside of the Fallout 3 remaster, then yeah, to me, that's just really poor management. Opportunity cost was obviously not being considered here, otherwise financially it just makes so much sense to work on Fallout. Of course, there is an art element to all of this, but at the same time, you sold to a giant company. There's also a very real financial element to all of this. And that brings us to today. Under Asha Sharma, there is definitely a change-up happening. It's been reported by Jason Schreier that Obsidian is now working on a Fallout game led by Josh Sawyer, the very same director of Fallout New Vegas. And from what I've heard, this came as a surprise to Bethesda. This news caught a lot of people off guard, which only reflects
The unironic chance to get the best Fallout game that we have is this, whatever they're doing at Obsidian, because of the people attached. But still, that's like in the single-digit % chance of success, honestly, because I don't believe these people have it in them. I firmly believe that New Vegas was just luck. I really do. I really do believe New Vegas was just fucking luck. And that whatever they make is not gonna be lucky again. Considering everything they made after New Vegas, all of the people who are touted as heroes currently, it's just not looking that good.
More about the seeming loss of franchise control that is happening under Asha Sharma to Bethesda. Or is it? Because I also think this loss of Fallout is massively overreported, at least from my understanding. And I mean, hey, there's even evidence of this in the initial Bloomberg article leaking the Obsidian Fallout game, because, well, yeah, Josh Sawyer and Obsidian are making a new Fallout game. Jason Schreier confirms it's going to also be co-developed with Bethesda Game Studios, or at least worked on by Bethesda Game Studios. We have literally no details on this game except that Obsidian, Josh Sawyer, and Bethesda Game Studios are involved. And Todd Howard has been the executive producer on everything Fallout for over a decade now. I think what we're seeing is Bethesda losing complete autonomy over their franchises here. Some business decisions are being made, such as with putting Obsidian on Fallout. But even from this initial reporting, it seems like Bethesda will be involved creatively. I don't think Todd Howard and Bethesda are losing that aspect of Fallout, and frankly, why would they? They haven't been working on Fallout, but from Asha's perspective, they seem to know what they're doing with overseeing the Fallout TV show. And I would expect at least a similar situation here, which, remember, Todd Howard was literally setting boundaries for the Fallout TV show showrunners. That's a good amount of power he will hypothetically have for the Obsidian Fallout game. And even further, all of the news we've
Yeah, this is the second part. The reason why the chances that the Obsidian Fallout is going to be a success are in the single digits. Even though we technically have the best group possible from the current lineup of devs available to work on it, except Larian, obviously, that would be the best, is the fact that Todd Howard oversees this. And as I said previously, this does not change. But if Todd sees that the Obsidian is doing something good, he will sabotage it. I fully believe that Todd will try to sabotage this. Now, granted, as everything woke inevitably goes into a circle and eats itself, I do think that there is a chance for the most hilarious fucking opportunity of a lifetime here. That Obsidian makes garbage, Todd Howard starts to panic, and then he wants to change the garbage because he thinks he's looking at it gold. And then Todd Howard makes it into shit from his own perspective, and we get a good Obsidian Fallout game. Because keep in mind, one of the reasons why every single game that we have nowadays is bad is literally wokeness. And this is kind of that minute part of wokeness that I even don't talk about typically, but this is a great example how it comes into play. It's the fact that these people, the things that they see as good, interesting on a fundamental level are so far detached from us normal people that nothing overlaps. The thing, like, which was... I can't remember. I can't remember, but there are so many examples of characters. Oh, Roach Coach from Watchmen. Huh? Remember that? Who was the director of that movie? In any case, you probably like Roach Coach as or Rorschach. Was named Rorschach? Rorschach. I don't remember. I'm not a Watchmen fan. But if you know what I'm talking about, you know that movie, you probably like Rorschach. Rorschach, there we go. As a character. He's probably your favorite character, honestly. And you probably don't really like Dr. Manhattan that much. You find him maybe a little bit interesting, but you don't really like him per se. You know what's the irony? This is again just wokeness in its purest form. The fact that the director that made that movie made Rorschach into every single thing that he finds appalling about the world. He tried to make it the most unlikable character ever possible. and everyone loves the character the most, and he wanted to make Blue Jesus the most likable character, and people don't like him too much in general. Because just the way that we perceive the world as normal people is so detached and so far gone from these woke lunatics, it is crazy. Again, Rorschach was supposed to be super unlikable because he embodies actual fucking determination and belief in what he believes in. So, if Todd Howard is the same as that director, by the way. So Todd Howard could actually save Fallout by trying to ruin it, because he most likely will try to make Fallout bad by creating a character that he would dislike, and that's probably going to be the most liked Fallout character in years because of it. It would be hilarious if this actually happened.
Heard around ZeniMax as a company is that now they're going to more collectively be focusing on their big IPs, including Fallout. All of this is still early days, so time will definitely tell, but right now it seems like the plan is to work on Fallout and the Elder Scrolls more actively in tandem. Not only those two games, other things as well, but more so that we can get both Fallout and Elder Scrolls games from each of those franchises faster. And you just have to imagine Todd Howard, the executive producer on everything Fallout for the last 20 years, except for one game, will also be very involved in the upcoming Fallout projects, both the one from Bethesda and also the one from Obsidian. Because yeah, Fallout 5 is still very likely coming from Bethesda, and if anything is probably getting even faster development now, because what remains of the other studios at Bethesda Softworks may very well be involved, like id or even ZeniMax Online Studios. It's not totally
This, by the way, looks like a fun mod.
clear what's going on here, but it seems like that's overall the direction the company's heading in, which to me makes the recent layoffs incredibly confusing from a managerial perspective. Like, it's clear that more Elder Scrolls and especially more Fallout ASAP are what Xbox wants. But their first major action towards getting closer to that was laying off a bunch of people with decades of experience on the
Well, yes, these people made Starfield, so they need to lay off more. Oh, but in any case, again, that's pretty much it, honestly, about the situation. It's pretty insane to a degree. And that was a juice head. 10 out of 10. Have a nice day. Bye.